Yo guys, Vision here, back with some more Call of Duty Zombies content, with today's video being around Dead of the Night, an incredible DLC 1 Zombies map with regarding the layout, the theme, the lore behind everything involved, as well as a very challenging map to survive in itself in Black Ops 4 with the werewolves, the vampires, elementals, zombies, you name it, with a difficult Easter egg that's both challenging throughout and a tough boss fight as well. This is episode 29 of the Zombie series, with all of my previous episodes already on the channel down below in the description for the playlist, and on that note, stay tuned and let's get right into it. So first things first, what I'll do in this video is I'll discuss an overview of all of the map, the initial gameplay that you're going to see throughout, the map layout, what I found with my own experiences, the character and lore behind the map in itself, the layout, the challenges, the Easter egg journey, where I rank this map, an overview of Black Ops 4, details about the Easter egg and all of the special features involved as there's so much going on, the incredible wonder weapon on this map with the elemental zombies, the vampires, all of the werewolves. There's so many things to uncover, and basically if you guys are new to the channel, this is not an Easter egg guide, this is purely a summary of this map and this part of this episode, which is going to form an ultimate part of this series, which goes into a ultimate ranking tier list. We are going to create content for every single zombies map that's ever been made from Treyarch at least, and maybe consider adding in the likes of some Infinite Warfare maps, so on later down the line on the journey, maybe some Gauntlet experiences and survival experiences and so on. But what I've been doing is basically simultaneously playing Black Ops 7 and all of the other games, trying to complete past sort of DLCs that I didn't play back in the day, and we are working our way towards this ultimate goal in creating the best and ultimate tier list, where we're going to have every single map all saved in one place in one playlist, and then I'll be able to go into this final video and say this is where I think this map ranks, and I'll have this ultimate tier list. Something I've always wanted to do, and I thought it'd be a cool idea to go through every single map, whether I play it on solo or with a group of friends, and just try and complete every single Easter egg that there ever has been in terms of main story. And I've got to say, Black Ops 4, I don't care how controversial this decision is, I think this is the third best zombies mode in all of Call of Duty. Like, I love Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3. They are unanimous as the top two in my opinion. Whether you want to put BO2 first or put BO3 first, which is my personal favorite, it doesn't really matter. I think we can all agree they are the top two or the best two. Whether you're nostalgic and want to say Black Ops 1, because I've been around since World at War, in case you guys are new. I mentioned this in all my videos, in case so you guys do know you're watching someone that was around from the starting days. I played World at War right from the start in 2009. I remember completing the campaign and then loading into that Nukta and Toten arena and seeing this like the airfield and the cutscene, and then loading in. And I was terrified. I was very young at that point. Shouldn't have been playing that game, of course, but I remember being around in those days, and I'm still a big fan of what the new sort of era of zombies has produced. I'm a big fan of Black Ops 6 as well, and I'm a big fan of Black Ops 7 so far. So at the point of recording this, the DLC 2 map on Black Ops 2 hasn't come out, but the point and the reason I'm mentioning all of this, because it's all relevant, is because there is no recency bias here. I am literally simultaneously playing recent and sort of modern zombies whilst playing this game, and I've been around since the start. So I have like all three areas covered, with the fact that I absolutely love this game. I love this map, and back in the day, I did not play DLC 1. I didn't play any of the DLCs with regards to Black Ops 4. There's so many different reasons with regards to Blackout being out at the time, with my friends not getting the DLCs, and therefore I wanted to play it with them. There was loads of different small reasons, and I stopped playing games for a little bit during that time frame, and I actually cannot explain how much fun and excitement I've had so far coming back to this game and also completing these maps. I've literally only just bought the DLCs for Black Ops 4 going into this game, and this is at the time of Black Ops 7 being out, with me having all of the master camos and really enjoying the likes of Ashes of the Damned and Astra Malorum and survival maps experiences and so on. All previous episodes already on the channel. Again, I'm mentioning all of this because it's just further sort of going towards and leading towards the ultimate point I'm trying to make, which is this has got to be one of the greatest maps ever made in Call of Duty history, in my opinion, for zombies. I don't know if that's like a super controversial take, or if this is like ridiculously common amongst other people, but because I didn't play back in the day in the DLCs for this game, I don't really know how this map's perceived amongst the community. I've seen some people say it's one of the better maps they've played, but no one ranks it like as high as I clearly am, or as passionate as I am about this map, because I don't really know what went wrong with this map, or what could you possibly use to go against ranking this map really highly, because in my opinion, and we're going to go through it in this video, it ticks almost every single box there possibly is with regards to how you want to rank a map. And I do mine based on XYZ criteria, which again we'll get into in a second. But this map, honestly, I had such medium expectations going into this. I don't want to overglaze it, but just on the looks of it, and with the videos I saw going into this, I was really excited. But at the same time, I've heard all the criticism, and I know what Black Ops 4 was like in its prime with regards to the blue screening and the dev errors that this game had. So I do get that it had its problems, but coming back to this game, there are no problems. This is feeling really smooth. The map's quality, it just off the charts, and the elemental wonder weapon that we're going to go over again in this video, all of these things that I'm going to get into more detail on, just so good. And I'm actually tempted to make this an S tier map in my ranking, which I know is going to be controversial, but we're going to have to get down into the details as to why I think that way. It's at minimum, it is an A tier map, and I think it has potential to be arguably the best DLC 1 map of all time. It's not, because Dire Eyes and Draco obviously exist in BO3, but it's definitely up there, in my opinion, as one of the best DLC 1 maps. Like, I am a big fan of this one. I had a great experience so far. And going into this, like I said, I had medium expectations. So it just blew me away with how incredible the detail of this map is, the experience, the challenge, and everything involved. With regards to the layout, I think it's fantastic. There's so much detail on the map with regards to the cemetery, the greenhouse, the mansion itself is really cool. I love the layout being symmetrical in various different arenas or areas of the map. With the outside environments, it makes this a very entertaining experience. And I could almost say that if you was to play this multiple times, you could almost like feel like you're playing a different map each time, depending on how you sort of move around the map and what sort of player you are. Whether you're really experienced, then of course it wouldn't. But if you're like new to the game and played this for the first time, I can imagine you play this map multiple times till you finally figured it out. So it's like a hats off moment, because the level of detail involved right now is incredible. Like, I think the layout itself is also challenging, especially later in the game with the narrow pathways in the cemetery, the mausoleum. It definitely creates that skill gap for casual players where they're going to struggle more. And I can see how maybe some players wouldn't enjoy this map because it's so difficult. But at the same time, if you've got as much sort of experience as I have and other players who I know watching this video have, then this is the sort of thing you're looking for. You're looking for depth and layers upon layers of just detail and challenges and so on. And that's what this map provides you. It's got so much lore and extra detail for hardcore fans to the franchise, and it makes this an extremely unique and memorable experience, to say the least. I think the Easter egg on this map and the boss fight are so challenging but thoroughly detailed and entertaining. I enjoyed this so much. I can't wait to get into the details. I'll discuss the Easter egg in just a bit more detail shortly, but this map is definitely, in my opinion, an A tier map. I'm ranking it there for now, and it has potential to be put up to an S tier, but we're going to have to get into that in the near future. But versus previous DLC 1 maps, like I said, this is one of the best ones that they've ever made. With regards to Citadel Day Moore in sort of last year's game, Black Ops 6, I feel like that was an A tier map, a really good one as well. I feel like Astra Malorum in Black Ops 7 is good, but it's not on the same level as these maps. I think Ascension was really good, but again, not on the same level as these maps. Of course, nostalgic. It has its place in the history books. It was the first Easter egg we've ever had at that point in a big map. I feel like all of these things do factor in, but this map, in my opinion, tops all of them. It's in good company. It's got high competition with regards to the best quality maps being produced. Arguably are the DLC 1 maps, but I think it's just in good conversations with regards to where it ranks and how you want to debate it. But regardless of the fact, even if it's not the best or the second or third, I still think it's an A tier map at minimum, and a very good map to say the least with regards to the experience, the challenge, and all of the factors I've already gone over. I can't stop glazing it. Like, I've literally just completed the Easter egg, and I wanted to record this straight away after because I was so like hyped up and the adrenaline's still rushing at defeating that for the first time. So we're going to slow it down. We're going to talk about the details of this map and the Easter egg and all of those features. As I said, it's not a guide, but I'm so passionate about this map. I just want to talk about this one because episode 29 has been a really cool experience so far in this series, and I can't wait to keep going into the further maps and DLCs of Black Ops 4 with regards to Ancient Evil, Alpha Omega, and Targ the Totem. Like, I'm really looking forward to them, and this one has just sort of set the bar really, really high. And I already thought Blood of the Dead and IX and Classify was pretty fun, and of course Voyage of Despair, controversial or not, I thought that was one of the best maps as well that I've played. Like, I'm a big fan of this so far, and I just can't wait to see what happens going forward. I haven't had any spoilers either, which is really strange because I would have thought by now someone would have spoiled any of the future maps, but I'm going into them without knowing anything that happens, so I can't wait for that one. But for the map in itself, like, the Pack-a-Punch experience is already difficult in itself. Like, this has got to be one of the hardest Pack-a-Punches, or the sort of longest winded journey of getting the Pack-a-Punch open in all of like the Treyarch maps that I've ever played. Like, I can't believe how long this took to learn. Like, it was like a 10-minute guide just to figure out how to do it. Once you do it, of course, first time, it's pretty easy. There's not really much going about it. But then from there, you've got to build the shield, which you need for the Easter egg. You need the silver bullets. You need to get the chemicals. You need to get the wonder weapon, just the basic version, which is the Alistair's Folly. You then need to upgrade it to the Chaos Theory. You then need to further upgrade it to the Alistair's Annihilator, which is one of the best wonder weapons that they've ever made, in my opinion. I'm going to sort of have to make a separate ranking guide eventually for all of the best wonder weapons, and I think this one's in a good company. It might be top 5 of all time, which I don't know if that's crazy, but for me, with it already having elemental aspects, I'm a big elemental fan with the staves, the bows, and so on. I feel like this thing is in good company, and I feel like, again, overglazing maybe, controversial maybe. Let me know, guys, down below, and whether that's crazy, whether you think this map's not high tier like I'm ranking it, and also, what do you think of the wonder weapon? Because I genuinely think this wonder weapon was so cool. It made this map so much easier as well. I couldn't even imagine not doing this map without it, especially, of course, you need it for the Easter egg, but just generally navigating the map and getting through the layout and the challenges that you will come across with regards to the vampires and the elementals and the werewolves. I feel like this thing makes it so much easier, of course. You also have the crossbow, which I didn't actually manage to get in this gameplay. I will eventually go around to getting that again, because again, if I'm going to create an ultimate wonder weapon tier list, that's going to have to be something I create content for, and it's going to give me an excuse to come back to this map just for the sake of playing it as well, not for any other reason. Of course, I want to come back to this map, especially with more than one player. Like, I can imagine this map is so much more fun with co-op, but solo, this was definitely a difficult and eerie experience, and I can't believe how much fun I had with this. As for the Easter egg, like, we'll get into the details of it now, just to summarize what you kind of have to do, and then we'll talk about all the sort of map elements with regards to the types of zombies and the features involved. But the first things first on this map, and with pretty much all Black Ops 4 maps, is to activate the Sentinel artifact at the opposite side of where you spawn, above the grand staircase. Effectively, once you get that open, you now need to get the pack punch open, which, as I said, I'll summarize quickly. You need to effectively go and activate 3 crystals around the sort of starting area. One is in the main master bedroom, where you will need to basically break the vases with your melee, and then effectively collect some souls, go into the sort of crystal whilst interacting. It'll show you an image. You then need to go around the map to find those images, whether it's a painting, or the clocks, or it's the perk machine, whatever it may be, to go and collect the tuning fork. Again, this is not a guide, so I'm not going to talk about all the details involved with how you do them. You then have to do the same thing in the wine cellar, and then you have to go do the same thing in the library. Once you get all 3 crystals, you can now pretty much go and use the tuning fork to open up the pack punch. A little bit of a tip in case this does help anybody. Firstly, before you go into the pack punch, just collect the silver bullets, which you pretty much can do really easily by finding the goblet in the dining room or the west hallway. You find the candle in the main hall, the entrance hall, or the billiards room, and then you find the silver plate, which is in the wine cellar. And effectively, you melt the silver in the bench that's inside that cellar, and then go obtain the 3 chemicals that are on the map, which is the charcoal, which is alongside one of the fireplaces in the master bedroom, the billiards room, or the main hall. You get the sulfur, which is in any of the 3 areas in the greenhouse, and then you find the poo, which is around the cemetery in the pathways. Once you get all 3 of them, get the silver bullets, craft them together in the library area, and then effectively you can now go into the pack-a-punch area to defeat the werewolf that will spawn, because defeating the werewolf with silver bullets will give you the werewolf part that you will need later on. Once you get this part, it's going to save you a lot of time later, because I didn't actually realize the first time I played this map, I didn't play for the first map for the Easter egg, I just played it to learn the map. I wanted to not play the map and then only be focusing on the Easter egg. I wanted to just embrace what the map had to offer, just really go through the journey of just building the craftables by myself without using any guides, just trying to get my bearings with the map, because I didn't want to go into the map for the first time, never having played it, never really enjoying the experience, maybe potentially complete the Easter egg and then move on, and not had actually sort of gone over that map multiple times. And I'm glad I done it that way, because when I eventually played it once, got my idea on how to get all these things, like the bullets, like the pack-a-punch, and so on. Of course, I had to use a guide for the pack-a-punch because that was confusing, and I did have to understand a couple of things with regards to where these places are located. But for the most part, I did it all on my own once I sort of watched the videos for the first time, learnt where they were, and then just sort of try and gave it a go myself. It did take ages, but that way I like doing it myself, because that way I learn the map better and really feel like I was on that journey myself rather than just copying a guide. Then once I'd done all of that for the first time, I eventually I think I either died or just ended my game. I had to go off, or whatever it may be. I then decided, today, at the point of recording this, I'm going to sit down and give this one shot and just do it in one go. I've watched the guide like 2 or 3 times at this point, and I wanted to just understand how to do this thing first time, because in pretty much all of the guides I've done so far with regards to just episodes in the series, I always fail the Easter eggs at least twice. At least I get to the boss fight on my second attempt, and then I fail, and then I have to go do it a third time, which I was really, really pleased with myself that I managed to get this done first time. As you can tell, so passionate, so much adrenaline is still flowing right now, but yeah, really excited that I got that done first time, and that was a really fun experience to say the least. But yeah, once you've got the shield and you've got the pack punch open, you've crafted the silver bullets with the chemicals, you then need to get the Alistair's Folly, which is the wonder weapon on this map, by going to the library. As you come down, you need to melee the bookshelf using the shield to collect the first part. You then need to find 4 symbols around the map, a blue, green, yellow, and red, which are all spread out around the map. Once you get all 4 of them, you need to note down what color they were and what symbol they were, and then go and input them into the library to unlock the little coding machine, which will give you the wonder weapon on this map. You then need to go to the greenhouse, place the werewolf part that we collected earlier that you get from the forest into the little machine inside the laboratory, and then put the 2 together to create the chaos theory in the first workbench that you'll see on the right hand side. Then from there, you will eventually have to enhance this and get a further upgrade by getting the Alistair's Annihilator, which we'll cover in a little bit with regards to how and why you need this thing. But this thing is like the best wonder weapon I've used for a very, very long time. So definitely try this thing out if you haven't already played this map, and use this thing, because it's so much fun. I can't actually explain how much enjoyment I got out of using this thing. But then from there, you effectively now need to start one of 3 different steps in the map, which are pretty much the main part of this Easter egg. So it doesn't really matter as far as I'm aware on which order you do these in, whether you do the telescope or the night or whatever. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. So the order I effectively did this in was the telescope or the circle vision first, where you need to go to the mausoleum, shoot the rod on top of the main building, and then a beam will appear and then sort of go towards the main area of the map in the main hall. You then need to head back to the North Atrium Bridge, and you need to adjust 3 of these cogs, similar to the likes of Voyage of Despair with the dials and stuff like that, where you need to effectively spin them around in order to block the beams and effectively change the colors and move them around until the blue beam is just on the one crystal above Atlas, the sort of giant statue in itself. From there, once you've basically aligned them all, you'll see that the head of the statue will fall down from the laser beam, and it will just now float into the greenhouse lab, where 3 symbols are now around the map, and you need to basically collect these 3 symbols and tally up all of these scratch marks. So effectively what you do is you go to 3 of 6 locations, or effectively go to all 6 locations, and try and find these 3 symbols that are effectively around the map. You need to note down which symbol it is, and then try and look for sort of sub areas of where you're going to find scratch marks, and in those areas you will see like a scratch of 3 or a 4 or a 5. You need to add them all up, and then you'll get a total number. You'll write the symbol down and the total number next to it, and then effectively once you've collated all 3 symbols, you then need to head over to the laboratory, where you now need to input the 3 symbols from lowest to highest in order into the greenhouse lab. Once you've done this, it's pretty straightforward. You just move the dial around by holding square, looking the direction you want. You melee, and then effectively this telescope will now be activated, where you now need to obtain the shield, which we would have done already by this point. You melee the wheel in the lab with the shield once interacted, and then you get your shield out. You run through the electrical track down below. You melee the telescope again using the shield, and now the elevator in the lab will now lower down with a stone slab inside it, where you'll now be able to start a lockdown phase, which is difficult, I must say. But if you do it early on and you have the sort of the Alistair's Folly or the Chaos Theory, whatever it is at this point, it's pretty straightforward, where you hold to interact with the stone, keeping the sort of like activated, which will then glow blue. It'll spawn in a load of zombies and bats and vampires and then werewolves. Once you defeat all of these, you'll now be able to interact with the stone again and collect the sort of the max ammo and move on to the next step, which is effectively in my game I did the effigy step, like this human sacrifice, where you need to go to the cemetery, you need to shoot 5 trees that have leaves falling down, you need to shoot the little branches off of them and interact with all 5. You now at this point will need the Alistair's Annihilator, which is why it's good to do this in the second part, not the first, because it gives you a little bit of time to multitask other steps if needed. As I said, the Annihilator is incredible. It's got to be one of the best wonder weapons I've ever used, where you need to effectively shoot these 4 lamps that are around the cemetery stairs in a sort of quick succession, and then once you shoot the 4th lamp, a bat will spawn. You need to kill it to collect the part, and then if you fail this, you need to wait around 90 seconds and then do it again. But once you collect that, you collect the 3 bile or 5 biles from the vampires using the charged shot of the Chaos Theory earlier on, using the charged wind shots. You then need to head to the forest and collect the final part by shooting yellow charged shots on top of the glowing mushrooms. When a zombie is basically nearby, it will start to dig and find the part. Now in my game I got really lucky on this step, because effectively I did it on the first time, and I did a couple of these things on the first time, and I also found things like homunculus out of the box really quickly and stuff like that. So I got a bit lucky with this Easter egg attempt, I must say. But yeah, once you've basically got the part from the forest with the glowing mushrooms, you've got the vampire bile filled up to 5, and you've also got the sort of the bat part from defeating the final bat. You now need to head to the cemetery and interact with the red coffin and defeat the red final vampire, and that is where you're going to find the final part, where you put all of this together and head to the greenhouse laboratory, place all of the sort of premium material inside, and then wait around 20 seconds each time, collect the parts, and then build the Annihilator inside the laboratory. Now once you've got the Annihilator and you've collected the 5 branches, you can now head to the cemetery and find your own gravestone depending on what character you are playing. You then need to sacrifice yourself. Once you find your gravestone, you interact with it, the effigy, the sort of sacrifice place will spawn in itself, where you now need to use an Annihilator fire charge shot at the base of this, hold it to interact, and you'll go into this sort of this dream or this vision, where you'll go through a hell portal and you'll spawn as a ghost step, where you now need to go around the map and find the ghost, which actually took me forever to do. I was trying to find so many different videos, but after trying to find the videos and got nowhere, I pretty much just came out of my pause menu, because I was just trying to look at so many different guides, because nothing was explaining where exactly you would find this thing, because I couldn't find it to save my life. It was only until I unpaused my game I then found it through the window in the sort of winery or the cellar, which was like quite lucky. But anyways, I found it. You then need to go back to the cemetery following this ghost, and it will start another lockdown once the ghost disappears, and then you will need to basically survive this. The little tip that I've seen people doing that I utilized was going into the mausoleum and turning on the trap using the fires, sort of cogs, and then effectively defeat all of the monsters that will arrive, whether it's vampires, zombies, and of course the werewolves. And then you're on the final step after you collect this stone, you get the max ammo, and you now need to complete the night step, which is where you need to go to the library and you need to basically activate and interact with all of the fireplaces around the mansion using your shield, where you'll need the fire gate energy cores. You'll need a couple more. You'll place one in the library and one around the master bedroom. You need to effectively just ignite 4 in each area, and then effectively once you've done that, you'll be able to collect the gemstones. You'll then need to go around and basically find 3 knights around the map. One is in the main hall, one is in the greenhouse, and one is in the cemetery. Once you interact with each of the knights, a little gem will start floating around, and you'll need to guide all 3 collectively into the forest, where they'll then follow basically into a certain area and be guided towards their own sigils, where you then need to effectively clear zombies and fill up souls into these knights to allow them to walk forward towards the pack-a-punch machine, killing zombies, vampires, werewolves, elementals, you name it, and then this effectively starts the final lockdown. Once you've got them all together and they've chained around together, you killed the final werewolf, you can interact with the stone one final time and then collect this once you've defeated the final lockdown. Now, this step was actually really cool. I found this step really fascinating because it's quite intense with regards to how many sort of mobs are there. The elementals were all starting to appear at this point. I was on round 20, and the actual forest in itself was quite eerie, so the entire setting and the environment was just so sort of like aesthetic and really interesting and unique and memorable. I loved it. I am a big fan of this map, as I've said time and time again. And this final step leading into the boss fight was really cool. And like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this experience. Now, going into the boss fight, obviously you just prepare as best as you can. I was pretty much already set up, and I wasn't going to waste much more time. I tried telling myself I wasn't going to use my gobblegums, but I got a bit unlucky with the way I managed my max ammo in this boss arena, because effectively it's split into 3 phases, and then at the end of each phase, a max ammo will spawn with a carpenter, and if you don't grab them, then they'll get overlaid. And I didn't really understand the second phase fully, to the point where I did it so quickly, I didn't really take advantage of the max ammo, which actually becomes relevant as to why I'm explaining this, because at the end, I actually ran out of ammo and became short of it, and I didn't have enough homunculus to help me out with trying to do the final phase, which effectively, if you haven't seen this before, again, it's not a guide, but it's more so just summarizing. The boss arena is really cool. It's quite difficult if you don't really know how to train and you're not really understanding what you're doing, which at first I was not really struggling with, but I wasn't just doing it properly with regards to guiding the lights. But effectively, you need to spin 3 dials around the arena and make the white lights turn green once they're pointing towards the green square. Once you've got the green square, go stand near it or in it. The werewolf boss will effectively become, it's invisible this whole time, and it will just start trying to attack you throughout. But once you're in the green square and it comes towards you, it will now become invisible, so then you can see this thing, shoot it, and deal damage to it. Once you do this step as many times as it takes for you to deal the acquired damage, whether it's 4, 5, or 6 attempts, once you do that, you will effectively have completed the first phase. The second phase is really, really easy. Just literally survive and clear zombies, werewolves, and vampires, and elementals. Once you do that, you're on the final step, which is effectively repeating the exact same phase of phase 1, but this time you won't see the green square until one of the lights aligns with it. So they'll all be white lights. You need to just move one of the 3 until you see which way it goes green. Whenever it goes green, it will show the square. Do the same thing again. Repeat this. Line them all up. Lead the werewolf boss into these squares and deal damage. Whereas, like I said, I ran short of ammo on the final step, so I actually had to use 2 extra gobblegums, which I wasn't planning on using because I was trying to save them for the likes of Ancient Evil and so on as we go through. But look, I wasn't going to fail this attempt. It was my first attempt. We got to the boss arena, and I'm sick and tired of failing boss fights, so I just wanted to get this done. In case you guys are new to the series, I literally just completed the Astra Malorum Easter egg on Black Ops 7, and I failed that boss fight 3 times before I finally did it. So that's why I'm mentioning it, because I wanted to make sure that the next boss fight I got into is particularly as well, it was on my first official attempt of attempting this Easter egg. I wanted to make sure I got this done, and I also just really enjoyed this experience. I also don't mind failing, because I wouldn't have minded coming back to this to play it again, because it would have been exciting. But at the same time, there's 3 other maps that I want to play, and I'm desperate to try and tag the Totem. So I want to get through Ancient Evil, work my way through Alpha Omega, and then get to tag the Totem, because Call of the Dead was one of my favorite maps growing up as a kid with Black Ops 1, and I just want to see what that map is like to play in itself. Like I said earlier in the video, if you remember, I haven't had anything spoiled for me, so I don't exactly know what happens in those, but I know there's meant to be some really cool cutscene at the end to sort of determine the future of the way this game goes, and I'm just really looking forward to what's coming next. But with regards to this map, in summary, I'd say this map definitely deserves its flowers. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience of playing it, learning this Easter egg and completing it, defeating the boss, and all of the challenges that this map provided. I would definitely come back to this map in the future and recommend for new players for sure. Like I said, I would think this is on the border of being an S tier map. Until I do my final ranking, I'm not particularly sure at this point in time, but it's a very, very high A tier map in my opinion. I am a big fan, and I'd say this is arguably the best Black Ops 4 map in all of this game. But with that said, hopefully you've enjoyed the video and found this useful and just enjoyed the content so far, as this is episode 29 of the Zombie series. With that said, that is the video. As always, if you have enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe, as it massively helps me out, and I'd hugely appreciate it in you joining me on that journey in completing all of the Easter eggs and building the ultimate tier list. If you have any comments, tips, or tricks about playing zombies, this map, or any suggestions about future videos that you want to see on the channel, or if you want to play at any point for any of the maps, I am planning on playing any of the Black Ops 3 maps going forward with regards to Shadows of Evil and sort of the likes of Revelations and stuff like that. Anything that requires 4 players, or just generally going back to other games to complete those Easter eggs, I am looking to play. So if you want to want to play them, let me know down below, guys, and I'll get right back to you. I'm Vishnishchan. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.